In Five Nights at Freddy's Secret of the Mimic, we're introduced to a new character, Sleepy Moon. This Sleepy Moon character can be found in the basement under the retail showroom. And when you do find him, he wanders through the basement maze singing Bram's lullaby.
Lullaby and good night with roses bed lie.
But why is he here? And who is he? Well, to figure that out, we need to examine everything not just related to Sleepy Moon, but to the moon symbolism found throughout Murray's costume manor. Now, Sleepy Moon was created as one of the mascot characters for the Storytime showroom. This is a room in which MCM would showcase their designs, like Sleepy Moon in Storytime, Jackie in the Birthday showroom, or Big Top in the Big Top showroom. And this is in an effort to sell or contract out the characters to other companies. Except when we go into the Storytime showroom, there's a huge hole in the center of it. There's caution tape up everywhere, and no sign of Sleepy Moon. And this is where the logs come in. In the logs found throughout MCM, we find some that stand out. The first one being Night Shift. Night Shift. Hey, is anybody up there? I'm stuck down here. The elevator isn't working, and I'm getting really hungry. Is anyone getting this message? In this message, an employee at MCM is stuck in the lower levels of the factory, possibly starving to death. And the other messages from the retail showroom paint us a bigger picture. So bored. Hey, Clarence, are you as bored as I am? I can't believe we got the retail showroom detail again. So boring. Although, did you finally get into the elevator? That thing hasn't worked in so long, I don't even think Murray knows what's down there anymore. Sean. Retail Monday, 8 a.m. Sean, I found out why they closed it down. There's something below us. I've trapped it in the carousel for now, but I don't know how long that can hold it. I've programmed the monitors to give you the code. I've gotta go, I'll mail you later. Retail Friday, 6:30 p.m. There you have it, just don't use the codes unless it's a matter of life or death. Have mercy on our souls if that thing ever gets out. In these messages, Clarence and Sean speak about the retail showroom elevator. And this is the elevator that you take to reach Sleepy Moon. Clarence finds out what's down there and he seals it shut. But how does this solve who Sleepy Moon is? Well, one current theory floating around the community based on those logs is that Sleepy Moon is possessed by the employee who was trapped in the basement. But I don't think that's the case, and here's why. Depending on the timeline of when this employee was trapped versus when Clarence checked out the basement, it is possible for there to be overlap. A human takes 8 to 21 days to pass away from starvation and dehydration. So that's a pretty big window for Clarence to come into the basement. Unless this employee wasn't in the same basement. And we hear mechanical sounds coming from Sleepy Moon. When Sleepy Moon is walking, he makes almost a gear-like noise. It's very mechanical in nature. And his footsteps also sound heavy and metallic. This isn't a human in the suit or a human possessing the suit. And the lullaby that Sleepy Moon sings sounds like it's coming out of an audio box.
With lilies all spread, his babies we bed.
That would mean if the employee is possessing it, it is possessing an endoskeleton, not the Sleepy Moon suit. So while it is entirely possible, I do think there are other options that fit better within the evidence. The employee is mostly based on circumstantial evidence. And speaking of mechanical and endoskeletons, we know Sleepy Moon must have mechanical elements in him. So this could be another case of M2 stalking you. Except, it can't be. There is only one elevator up and down to this area, and we have to sneak past M2 to reach the elevator. There is no way within the laws of the game that M2 can make it there before us, change costumes, and set up. And while Sleepy Moon does have mechanical noises, they are not the same as M2's noises.
Surprise!
And in all of M2's voices, we hear it switch up, say different things, and even use different voices. In the same suit. Sleepy Moon only does one voice and sings a singular lullaby. Now, speaking of voices, Sleepy Moon's voice actor is actually Edwin's voice actor. And I don't believe this should be used for evidence, but it did open the door to exploring this theory. So could it be Edwin? Well, I do think there is some evidence supporting this. First, Edwin could possess an endoskeleton. This would be the same kind of situation as the employee. And Edwin is assumed to be associated with the moon in moon.exe. Not to mention, Sleepy Moon uses a male voice and sings a lullaby, just like a dad would to his child. But after doing some digging, I don't think it's Edwin, because I figured out who it really is. And it's M1. So we learned that M1 was used as a babysitter, an entertainer for David.
David, I want to introduce you to someone. This is M1.
Why does it look like that?
Look like what?
It's scary.
Oh, it's an endoskeleton. It won't always look like this. It'll wear fun costumes.
Like what?
Anything you want. It can fit into any costume we've created. Think of it as your new babysitter. But it doesn't get paid and go home. It'll stay with us and help around the house.
Now, I do believe M1 was originally created as an invention just to be used in sales. An endoskeleton that can be any character you'd like. Except this M1 became different. Human, almost. And that's because alongside the M1 program was a different force. Fiona. But she's become something different. Something almost eternal. Now, Edwin knows that Fiona is around MCM. He can hear her in the basement. So he brings radios or spirit boxes and begins communicating with her.
Recording? Test. Levels are good. This is where I heard it. It's her or someone that sounds like her. Set frequency to 4625. Hello? Hello? Is anyone there? Over. Say something. It's me, Edwin. Over.
That's good, honey, but then from the party.
And when she does begin possessing M1, he knows this difference. And he realizes that M1 has become more than just this endoskeleton running a program. And it now houses his late wife, Fiona. Except Fiona has evolved, and she is merged with this code, similar to how we see Glitch Trap later in the series. F10N4 was first, and now shares an endoskeleton with M1, so he keeps M1 a secret. Now, when M1 was originally created, it was created from parts like Jest Cereal, Magic Coat Rack, Mushman Music Machine, and Stay Up Latte. And we learned from the return emails that all of these parts start malfunctioning. And seeing as M1 was composed of the same parts, M1 starts malfunctioning too. It is not tethered to something else like F10N4 is. It is solely based on these parts that are going bad. And F10N4 warns Edwin, sending him that message asking him to build Cradle to keep David safe. So Edwin obliges and builds the Cradle, this Cradle being what we know as Mixus, and he uploads F10N4 into it and tosses M1 away, thinking that he fixed everything. Now, one reason I believe that this message was sent before David died is that F10N4 refers to him as David. When we see F10N4 refer to M2, she only refers to him as M2, not as David. And now, this Cradle is what we know as Mixus, Mechanical X-Form Experimental Storage Number 1. Fiona was housed in a storage unit so her code could be copied over into M2. So Edwin starts building this new M2 body for F10N4, and he copies her code over. So the endo that we see in the home videos, these are M2, not M1. In the designs we see in the secret room in the Tiger Rock basement, we can see that there are 2 endo designs, but we only ever encounter one in the game. And this is also supported by David's drawings. We know from the audio logs that David is scared of the M1 endoskeleton design, so we only see pictures of it with mascot suits on. One of these mascot suits being Sun. Now, M2 is a more humanoid endoskeleton, made to be less scary, so David doesn't mind and views it as his mom, and he draws several pictures with it in its full endoskeleton glory. So M2 is running the F10N4 code and really believes it is Fiona, and F10N4 watches through M2, seeing M2 as a piece of her, but not realizing M1 is still around. So on David's 5th birthday, both Edwin and M2 were too busy preparing for the party to watch David. They assumed he was at his playground, but really, I think he was at his little secret fort in the Storytime showroom. And while he's in this fort, he hears something. A lullaby. His mom singing to him. So he follows it through the dark forest painted halls and down to the voice. And once he arrives, he sees the moon. And this is M1 in a costume to make sure David isn't scared. So David continues until time stops and there's a loud crash. There's dust and smoke everywhere, and the moon hanging in the Storytime showroom crashes. It falls right on David, and now only his ball remains. But wait, this sounds familiar. Haven't we heard this before? We have, by Candy Cadet and Ruin.
Every day, Candy, now I will tell you a story about a mother and her little boy who lived alone in a cabin in the dark woods. There was a monster in the woods, but the mother caught it and kept it locked in the basement. The monster always made scary noises at night, but the mother would tell the boy not to worry because it could never get out. Then she would sing the boy a lullaby to sleep. One day, the monster stopped growling and instead listened and learned the lullaby. The next day, when Mother went out to find food, the monster sang the lullaby from the basement. The little boy heard the lullaby and opened the door.
We even see this mirrored in Moon.exe. We all assume F10N4 must be the sun because of the symbol that shows when we meet her. But keep in mind, M1 thought it was the sun too. M1 could be the sun in Moon.exe. And there's several items that can support this in the game. First, using the Tales books as a parallel, we learned that David dies chasing his ball into the road. In Secret of the Mimic, we find his ball in the mouth of the moon statue that crashed. And in Moon.exe, we see his ball again, and we place it into a chest to open the closet and get the hacked permission. And that chest is the moon chest. We even see the same dark forest trees painted on the hallway entry to Storytime's showroom. The same trees as in Moon.exe. The dark woods, the dark forest, Candy Cadet's story. M1 wanted to be the sun. But really, it was the moon. And after David's death, in grief, M2 begins mimicking David, causing Edwin to lash out. He doesn't realize M1 killed his kid, but he can't bear to be reminded of his loss. So he locks that elevator, trapping the employee down there. Now this employee, he does starve, and he does pass, but he does not possess M1. M1 learns from him. With nothing to copy and nothing to do, it listens and hears his voice. Hears his soft singing as he self-soothes himself into starvation. And M1 copies that. This is why we hear the man's lullaby. M1 is using the man's voice, but singing the same lullaby it sang to lure David. And this is where M1 will stay, trapped, until years down the line, when it's broken out in ruin. Now, since this is a prequel, we do have a little bit more information to help guide us to the correct ending. But how can any ending line up with what we see in Security Breach and Ruin? Well, there's a couple things that we see in Secret of the Mimic that can help us uncover how we get to the Pizzaplex era. In the Murray house, we do see a room that looks awfully similar to the FNaF 4 room. Plus, we see a message from William Afton that states Fazbear owns the land now. This could imply that Afton ends up owning this house. And yes, some rooms do need to be redone. The house is a mess, it has holes. But some rooms are okay, such as the FNaF 4 room, which is why that room is mostly unchanged. Plus, we do know there's already tunnels underground that would make perfect sense for sister location. Afton wasn't secretly building tunnels underneath his suburban home. He was using pre-existing tunnels that already routed him exactly where he needs to go. And this parallel is kind of hinted at in the game. In Secret of the Mimic, we find a photo of David and the Mimic, sitting on a hill overlooking the factory. And this photo directly mirrors the images we see of Gregory in different endings of Security Breach. It has the same kind of overlooking hill and the same kind of branch framing the picture. Could this be the actual same hill? And if it is, that means that this is the same land where the Pizzaplex is eventually built. And M1 was trapped there the entire time. But where is M2 in all this? Well, it depends on the ending you believe. But personally, I think we've already met M2 in the newer games. And now M2 is running from the original Mimic, the Secret Mimic. And if you got this far, thank you so much for watching. I really didn't expect to hit 200 subscribers in like a week, so that's kind of amazing. Everything I said here, it is a theory. And I'm sure that Steel Wool is going to release a Fall Fest DLC, and I'm going to change my mind on every single thing I said. But in the meantime, this is my thoughts, and thank you for watching. If you'd like to see more theory videos, or videos of me playing scary games, because believe me, I do not get along with them, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.